Yes, please.
You can start reading.
That part of us which we can strictly call subconscious because it is below the level of mind and conscious life, inferior and obscure, covers the purely physical and vital elements of our constitution of bodily being, unmentalized, unobserved by the mind, uncontrolled by it in their action. It can be held to include the dumb occult consciousness, dynamic but not sensed by us, which operates in the cells and nerves and all the corporeal stuff and adjusts their life process and automatic responses. It covers all those lowest functions of submerged sense mind, which are more operative in the animal and in the plant life. In our evolution, we have overpassed the need of any large organized action of this element, but it remains submerged and obscurely at work below our conscious nature. This obscure activity extends to a hidden and hooded mental substratum into which past impressions and all that is rejected from the surface mind think and remain there dominant and can surge up in sleep or in any absence of the mind, taking dream forms, forms of mechanical mind action or suggestions, forms of automatic vital reaction or impulses, forms of physical abnormality or nervous perturbance, forms of morbidity, disease, imbalance. Out of the subconscious, we bring ordinarily so much to the surface as to our waking sense mind and intelligence need for their purpose. In so bringing them up, we are not aware of their nature, origin, operation, and do not apprehend them in their own value, but by a translation into the values of our waking human sense and intelligence. But the rising of the subconscious, its effect upon the mind and body are mostly automatic, uncalled for and involuntary. For we have no knowledge and therefore no control of the subconscious. It is only by an experience abnormal to us, most commonly in illness or some disturbance of balance, that we can become directly aware of something in the dumb world, dumb but very active, of our bodily being and vitality, or grow conscious of the secret movements of the mechanical, subhuman, physical, and vital mind which underlies our surface. A consciousness which is ours, but seems not ours because it is a part of our known mentality. This and much more lies concealed in the subconscious.
This and much more lives concealed in the subconscious. So, very, very interesting para. He is describing the subconscious in ourselves as well as in universal nature. Okay? So, let's have a look at that. We'll go very swiftly, one by one, and try to give examples. Some I may not be able to give examples, but I'll try my best. That part of us which we can strictly call subconscious because it is below the level of mind and conscious life, inferior and obscure, covers the purely physical and vital elements of our constitution of bodily being, unmentalized, unobserved by the mind, uncontrolled by it in their action. Now each word is important and we'll have a look at what he's saying. The part of us which is strictly called subconscious, that which is not mental and vital. He is including even the vital, okay? Because he is saying conscious life. Okay? The life element in you, the vital, can be conscious in a certain way. Okay, desires, okay? When you are hungry, it's your body telling you that there is hunger and you are conscious of it. That I am hungry. Therefore, even the vital has got a consciousness. So, When you are angry, you know that you are angry. So there is a little bit of consciousness, okay, awareness of even in the vital. So that which is below the mind and the vital is the subconscious, very clear, which means mostly physical. And physical also, there is a consciousness, but it is subconsciousness, in the sense that it is not mental, it is not willed, it is automatic. And we'll have examples of that. Okay, so, inferior and obscure covers the purely physical and vital elements of our constitution of bodily being. Bodily being, body, mind, life. Because we have above the body, we have the spiritual planes of consciousness, which is part of us, and also the highest level. Even the divine is part of us. That's not the bodily being. That's the unbodily being, if you want. Okay? That which is above the body. Unmentalized. Much of this, the mental consciousness is not there. Unobserved by the mind. Okay? So, unobserved by the mind. Okay? We'll give examples. Uncontrolled by it in their action. Now think of your body, because he is saying very purely physical and vital elements. Okay? So, purely physical, look at your own body. All the functions which you are doing is because of the subconscious consciousness. Okay? It's not mental. It's not telling your kidneys to function. Oh, my kidneys, please do this, purify my blood. No, it is absolutely automatic. You are not mentalized. It is simply acting on its own. But can it act on its own? It cannot act on its own unless there is a motive and a consciousness. That consciousness is the subconscious. Okay? The kidneys know automatically that they have to filter the wrong elements in the blood. Okay? So that is what is meant by uncontrolled. Okay? So it can be held to include the dumb occult consciousness. Occult is hidden. Okay? Don't think of it in any other way. Occult means hidden. Hidden consciousness. But it is dumb. It cannot express itself. The word dumb is interesting. It cannot express itself. It remains at its own level without mental expression. Dynamic, but not sensed by us. Now dynamic means effective. The liver is working on its own, the stomach is working on its own, the heart is working on its own, but it is dynamic, it is working, it is perfectly working, but it is not sensed by us. We don't sense that our heart is pumping blood, we don't sense that our digestion is taking place, okay? Our entire body, everything, we are not conscious that it is working, but it is working perfectly. Okay? That's the subconscious. Some also calls it the physical consciousness. Sometimes he calls it the physical consciousness. Okay? But not sensed by us, which operates in the cells and nerves and the corporeal stuff and adjusts their life process and automatic responses. Automatic response. Okay? An example of an automatic response, when you eat something which doesn't agree with you, the stomach knows, the body knows that this is not good for me, it throws it out in the sense of vomiting. Okay? Automatic response. Okay? The body knows that this is harmful to me and gets it out. Or if you have a loose stomach, that also is an automatic response. It gets rid of that which is going to harm it. So there is consciousness, but it is not mental consciousness. It's something attributed as a subconscious is the only way to describe it. Okay. It also covers, now he is going one by one. First he has described the subconsciousness in the body. Then now he goes slightly more. Okay. It covers also those lowest functionings of submerged sense mind, which are more operative in the animal and plant life. In the plant life and animal, plant life, the plant knows that it needs light. It also knows it needs water. And it does exactly that. But it's not a mental movement. It's a purely subconscious movement. It is the consciousness in matter that is allowing the plant to live. Okay? By getting light and taking oxygen from the air and throwing out carbon dioxide. It's exactly the automatic. plant life. That's what it's saying. In the animal, this physical action takes place automatically. When it is hungry, it eats. It doesn't eat like human beings when it is not hungry. Okay? So it's automatic. Okay? It operates perfectly. In our evolution, now it comes to the human beings. First of all, he is talking about the physical, then he is talking about the animal and the plant life. Now he is talking about in our normal human condition. In our evolution, we have overpassed the need of any large organized action of this element. So, this element, which was the element? Subconscious. So, is the subconscious organized in the body? Absolutely. It is organized in an unbelievable manner. Okay? So, that is exactly what it is doing. So, we have gone beyond that level. Now we want to not largely subconscious organized, but mentally organized. We have come to a level where we need to mentally organize ourselves. Okay? We have overpassed the need of any large organized action of this element. But it remains submerged. It doesn't disappear. Okay? The body functioning continues, the vital continues, obscurely at work below our conscious level. Okay? This obscure activity extends to a hidden and hooded. Hooded, very interesting. He is using the image of a hooded, that which is not visible. Okay? When you have a hood, your face is not visible. So similarly, mental substratum into which past impressions and all that is rejected from the surface mind sink and remain there dormant and can surge up in sleep or in any absence of the mind. Okay? Taking dream forms, forms of mechanical mind action or suggestion, forms of automatic vital reaction or impulse, forms of physical abnormality and nervous perturbance, forms of morbidity, disease and unbalance. Now this is a very, in one sentence he has put many things. We look at each one. Okay? This obscure activity is not only physical, purely physical, it's also vital and it's also mental, but the lower elements of the mind. The lower elements of the mind are physical mind and vital mind. So now he is describing that. Okay? So, submental is substratum, mentally substratum, into which past impressions and all that is rejected from the surface mind sink and remain there dormant. Now, let's look at this. When you are going, when for instance, you are going from your residence to the dispensary or Yasmin is going for her operation somewhere else, you are going through the street and you see so many things. All these are being recorded by you even if you are not conscious of it. A dog barking in the corner, okay? A beggar sitting on the pavement. All these things are recorded and they go down into the subconscious and remain there. It's like throwing stones into a pond. They don't disappear. They go to the bottom of the pond and remain there latent. Okay? And they are dormant. But they can rise anytime. Okay? That's the thing. And when do they rise? He is giving many forms of this rising of subconscious elements. Okay? Can surge up in sleep. You'll be surprised if you look at your dreams very carefully that the most insignificant things suddenly come up in dream. Okay? So, I gave you the example of the beggar sitting in the corner which you have not paid attention to, okay? Or there is an accident somewhere and you have just noted it in passing. But if you have got urgent work, you don't bother about the accident, you go. But these things are recorded and they go down and come up in sleep. Okay? So, that's the first thing. And can surge up in sleep or in any absence of the mind. In other words, when the mental is not very active, suddenly these things can come into the mind. I remember a very interesting thing. Okay? I had a friend, okay, who was not mentally very developed, okay, but suddenly she would say something, okay, which is completely out of context, and then she herself would wonder, why did I say that? But from where the hell did it come? Okay. So we are talking about something and absolutely unrelated some words come out of the mouth. Okay? Maybe it doesn't happen to everybody, and it can come in your mind, but you have to be very conscious of this. But this person used to suddenly utter the words, and the words are absolutely irrelevant to what we were discussing. And then she herself wonders, what is this? From where? Why did I say this? From where did it come? Exactly, Surendra is giving you the answer. It is coming up from absence of the mind. When the mind is not too active, suddenly it comes and you express it unconsciously. Okay? Very interesting. Taking dream form. Sometimes it comes in dreams. Sometimes forms of mechanical mind action. Okay. Mechanical mind action is very interesting. When I used to go to Madras, I remember this very clearly. You are sitting and then watching the passing farmlands and all that. Every time I used to look at the farmlands, a particular thought used to come into the mind. Repeatedly. Today, tomorrow, day after, 1 month later on. Every time. So that's exactly what he's saying. Okay? Forms of mechanical mind action or suggestion. Okay? So when you see certain things, immediately certain other suggestions come up in the mind. So it can come up in that way also. Then forms of automatic vital reaction. Forms of automatic vital reaction or impulse. Suppose you are going in the market and you see a certain dress, okay, which you had wanted long ago, that association will come up again from the subconscious. Oh, I had wanted this and I forgot about it. Okay, suddenly it comes up. Then forms of physical abnormality. I am giving you examples of each one what he is saying. Okay? Forms of physical abnormality is very interesting. People have got what we call in Bengali mudra dosh. Okay? There will be sometimes twitchings. I remember many people who have got all. There used to be a gentleman, his name was Arjun. He used to have this kink in the neck. Like that he used to do all the time. Okay? From where is this coming? From the subconscious reason. Okay? So, forms of mechanical mind action, surgery. Forms of automatic vital reaction, I told you, desires can come up which you had long ago, or impulse. Forms of physical abnormality. There used to be a gentleman who, before entering any door, would go 2 steps into the door and come out. Take again 2 steps into the door and come out. Okay? I am giving you very rare examples, but I have seen all these things. Okay? This was somebody related to friends of ours, and he had this peculiar habit. This is another thing that, or as I said, twitching. Okay, twitching. You have also said there was one person. His name was Kora Bhai. He used to have twitching in the nose. Like if you can see what I am doing, okay, something like that. But these are all subconscious things coming from the body. Now he is saying something very interesting. Okay? Forms of physical abnormality is what I described just now. Mudra dosh. Or nervous perturbance. Every time something comes up, there is form of mobility, disease unbalance. Now, we come to chronic illnesses. Chronic illnesses are because the subconscious has kept this and is throwing it up for you. So that's why it is so difficult to get rid of habits. Okay. Not only illnesses. Chronic illness is nothing but a habit of the body. It refuses to die because of the subconscious, power of the subconscious to not let things die very easily. They go down and remain there and keep trying to come alive by pushing it into the consciousness. This is the chronic illness. But there is a way of conquering that also. You have to become conscious of your subconscious and kill it there in the body. Then the chronic illness can be removed. Otherwise it remains forever. Many people have chronic illnesses. Indigestion, okay, other type of things. All these things are chronic illnesses. So, unbalance, that also can be there. Forms of morbidity, disease unbalance. So you can now see the power of the subconscious. The subconscious has got tremendous power, and we can see it normally in morbidity, disease and unbalance. But now if the subconscious has got such a power, Why don't we use it for the right thing? And that is exactly what you do. Okay? When you do jap mala, okay, you take a mala, beads, and do Rudraksha mala you take and go on reciting Sahasranama, Vishnu Sahasranama. Okay, when I was studying Sanskrit, Jagannathji gave me a book, Vishnu Sahasranama. Go on reciting these names, mechanically if you want. But they will go down into the subconscious and become a force. Okay? So, put into your subconscious things that you want to do and you want to do. There is a persistence. You go on pushing these things down into subconscious, they will keep coming up again and again and you will benefit. Okay? So, this is also the way the hypnotism works. Okay? When you are hypnotized, the subconscious becomes active. And then the hypnotizer puts in suggestions which go down into the subconscious and is accepted by those who are hypnotized. So that way also a cure can take place. Not that the cure is invariably successful, but sometimes it can be successful temporarily and come up again. Because the power of the subconscious is very strong. So you may be cured for about 3-4 months. After that the old one comes up back again. But in some cases, the cure can be permanent. Okay? So this is the power of the subconscious. So such a interesting paragraph, he is saying so many things. That why is he saying all this? Because he is starting, the chapter is towards the sevenfold knowledge. So he is starting from the bottom and going up one by one. He will go to he is talking about the subconscious. Then he will talk of the other forms of consciousness, slightly higher, and he will say, the knowledge, at which level will we find it? That is what he is doing in this chapter. So he is starting from the subconscious. He'll go higher up. Can we find knowledge here? No. Can we find knowledge in the next higher level? No. Can we go to the higher level? No. He goes on like that until finally he comes to the overmind and the supermind. Only there can full knowledge be attained. Okay? That's what he is doing in the paragraph. Now, I go to the next sentence. Out of the subconscious, we bring ordinarily so much to the surface as our waking sense, mind and intelligence need for their purpose. Now, very interesting. Now, let us say you are a mechanic and you have learned how to deal with a certain problem in a motorcycle or the car. So this, once you have learned, it goes down to subconscious. Okay? It's not conscious all the time, you are not thinking of that. But when you go to the repair again, this comes up from the subconscious. Okay? So it can be very, very useful. So it's simply saying, out of the subconscious, we bring ordinarily so much to the surface as our waking sense, mind, intelligence need for their purpose. Suppose we are reading Sevenfold's Life Divine, and one day we discuss the meaning of one particular word. Then you go and do your work, you have forgotten about it. Next time that comes up, it is coming up again from subconscious. Oh, this word means this. Okay. So suddenly you remember. This is all the power of the subconscious. Sometimes you may forget, but if you have not, even if you have forgotten it down there, but the capacity to remember that is the power of the subconscious to give it back to you. Okay. So there is another example that we are saying. Out of the subconscious, we ordinarily bring so much to the surface as our waking sense, mind, and intelligence need for their purpose. In other words, you are bringing consciously out of the subconscious the things which you need, okay, which you have learned. Now, but we have seen mostly that the subconscious works automatically, involuntarily. Voluntarily also you can bring out things, but involuntarily, mostly it is involuntary. Okay? Out of the subconscious, bring ordinarily so much to the surface as our waking sense, mind and intelligence need for their purpose. It's a conscious operation. In so bringing them up, we are not aware of their nature, origin, operation, and do not apprehend them in their own values, but by translation into the values of our waking human sense and intelligence. When you remember the meaning of a word, as I was saying in Life Divine, And when you come across that word again, the remembrance of it comes back. And when the remembrance of it coming back, you don't know from where it is coming. Okay? But it is coming from the subconscious, and we don't know the nature of the subconscious. Okay? So that's what it's saying. It has to be translated into the value of the waking humans. Remembrance. You understand it as remembrance, but actually it's not remembrance at all. It is subconscious feeding you with knowledge that you already knew in the past. Okay? But the risings of the subconscious, its effect upon the mind and the body are mostly automatic. There you are. Okay? Uncalled for and involuntary. Voluntarily also you can bring up. Remembrance is all voluntary. But involuntary also it can come. For we have no knowledge and therefore no control of the subconscious. It is only by an experience abnormal to us, most commonly in illness or some disturbance of balance, that we can become directly aware of something in the dumb world. You can see from where it is coming. Okay? Normally, chronic illness is a very good example. We don't know from where it is coming. We are completely unaware of it. So if we are talking of disturbance and balance, most common in illness. So he is talking of the chronic illnesses. That we can become directly aware of something in the dumb world. Dumb but very active. The power of subconscious is tremendous. To act positively as well as negatively. Of our bodily being and vitality, and grow conscious of the secret movements of the mechanical, subhuman, physical and vital mind which underlies our surface. A consciousness which is ours but seems not ours because it is not a part of our known mentality. We are not conscious of all this, but since we have come from matter, all the powers and the defects of matter are there in us. All the power and defects, both, of the vital is there in us. Okay? It's all stored in subconscious. This and much more lives, concealed in the subconscious. It lives. Okay? It doesn't die. So it is inactive, but it lives. This is the power of the subconscious. Okay? That's the reason why we do these things. Satsang, going to things, hearing constantly. You remember the three words which in yoga we use? Okay? Mananam, then I forget the three words.
Mananam. Haranam, Mananam.
Yeah, tell me Vishnu again.
Saranam, Mananam, and then Nidhi Sanam.
Last one?
The last one is basically that reflection. I will see the Sanskrit word. Niridhyasana or something. Yeah.
I forget the word. Mananam, Shravanam, Nididhyasanam.
Yeah, Niridhyasana.
So these are the ways to put right elements into the subconscious. Constant remembrance of the divine, constant thinking of the divine, mananam, shravanam, listening to. That's why people go to these dharmic talks. Okay? There are many in India. It's happening all the time, and that's why you go there. Okay, so and nididhyasanam, make it absolutely yes. Nididhyasanam, putting it, laying it down solidly in your being. Okay? That's the power of the subconscious. You can use this power of subconscious even when you don't know about it in a very positive manner. As I said, mechanically also, if you are doing Rudraksha Mala and doing, mainly in India, the elderly people, when they have nothing to do, they do that. They go on. As I told you, Vishnu Sahasranama, okay, you go on reciting. The name of the divine has got tremendous power. That's why in a mantra, they put the names. Because names are representations. Okay. I'll tell you a very interesting thing. When mother used to give calendar pictures of herself, okay, at the end of 3-4 years, so many pictures are collected. Now what do you want to do with them? They have no more use. So, what do? You tear them up? No, you don't. Because They are representations of the divine. So what do? Someone asks Mother, Mother, these calendars are simply lying, so many, you are giving messages and all that, and they are getting collected, but I don't have the feeling that I should dispose them off, throw them in the dustbin. What should I do? You know what Mother said? She said something very interesting. She said, put them in water and let the image slowly disappear. So that which has taken a form, the divine form, is slowly going back into the impersonal infinite, from where it came. The form is dissolving and going back into the infinite. So, isn't that an interesting thing? Okay? So that is what you have to do. Okay? So, this is what you have to do. These things which go down into the subconscious, you have to give it form. And you do that by constant mananam, shravanam, nididhyasanam. Okay? This and much more lives concealed in the subconscious. Sridhar has given us about 10-15 examples of how the subconscious works. At the physical level, at the vital level, even at the mental level. Okay, now we go to the next para. A descent of the subconscious. The first para was read by Jasmine. So who will read the next one? Kiran, you are not recording, but can you read?
Rangada, I'm traveling. No, I don't have the text now with me.
Right. Okay. So we'll go to Jishnu. Jishnu can read maybe, if he has a text.
Yeah, Rangada, I'm ready.
Go ahead. A descent.
A descent
Very interesting
into
subject.
the
Go ahead.
Yes. A descent into the subconscious would not help us to explore this region, for it would plunge us into incoherence or into sleep or a dull trance or a comatose torpor. A mental scrutiny or insight can give us some indirect and constructive idea of these hidden activities, but it is only by drawing back into the subliminal or by ascending into the superconscious and from there looking down or extending ourselves into these obscure depths that we can become directly and totally aware and in control of the secrets of our subconscious, physical, vital and mental nature. This awareness, this control are of utmost importance, for the subconscious is the inconscient in the process of becoming conscious. It is a support and even a root of our inferior parts of being and their movements. It sustains and reinforces all in us that clings most and refuses to change. Our mechanical recurrences of unintelligent thought, our persistent obstinacies of feeling, sensation, impulse, propensity, our uncontrolled fixities of character. The animal in us, the infernal also, has its lair of retreat in the dense jungle of the subconscious. To penetrate there, to bring in light and establish a control is indispensable for the completeness of any higher life, for any integral transformation of the matter, of the nature.
The nature. Now, this is a very interesting para. So he is saying, can we get knowledge? Can we get knowledge in the subconscious? Can we understand if you go there? It's like going into a dark room to understand what that dark room is all about. But because there is no light, you cannot understand the darkness of the room. You cannot understand. The nature is darkness. So what do you do? How do you know the subconscious? Strangely enough, by going higher up. Not going down, but higher up. The higher you go, the more knowledge you get of the lower. Okay? Isn't it one of those things which seem to be the opposite? If you go into a dark room, you cannot know what the dark room is. But if you go up, now you have light in your hand, you can go down into the darkness with that light and you will get the knowledge of what is there in the dark room. Okay? So it's interesting. To know the subconscious, you have to go to the superconscious. That's what is described. Let's have a look at each sentence. A descent into the subconscious. Why the saying is, He is trying to find out where knowledge is started and where ignorance is not operating. That's what he is trying to do. A descent into the subconscious would not help us to explore that region. For means because. Okay? For it would plunge us into incoherence or into sleep or a dull trance or a comatose torpor. Comatose, when you are in a coma, your mental is not working. Okay? So it's a torpor. Torpor is inertia. Okay? So this is, you become, your entire being plunges into darkness. And when you are in darkness, you cannot know. A mental scrutiny or insight can give us some indirect and constructive idea of these hidden activities. Constructive idea. But it's only an idea, not the real knowledge. Okay? And that also is indirect. Some indirect and constructive idea. Okay? Now note, same to the language again. It is indirect, but it is constructive. And it's only an idea. So how you say the uses words. Okay? It's an idea only, but it is constructive. It can help. However limited be, it can help. Constructive idea of these hidden activities. It is, but it's only by drawing back into the subliminal or by ascending into the superconscious and from there looking down or extending ourselves into these obscure depths that we can become directly and totally aware and in control of the secrets of our subconscious physical, vital and mental nature. There is a New Year message of mothers, okay? And that's a perfect example of what is experienced by these subconscious and the inconscient. Okay? I forget the exact word, but it's a New Year message. She says, I descended into the dark, narrow, stifling, she says, okay, and dark, narrow and stifling atmosphere of the inconscient. She went down and from there she was shot up into the superconscious, because the whole thing is a whole. Don't think that if you go up, you are going away from the lower. The higher you go, the lower you can understand. And the lower you go, only a spiritual person can do that. You will be shot away into the higher. That's the experience of Mother. And she says that from there I was violently thrown into a superconscious condition where there were the seeds vibrating with the new consciousness, supermental consciousness. So again, the symbolism of the snake, which eats its own tail, okay, that everything is in a circle. Okay? There is no infinity in space going outwards. Even science has discovered that. Okay? There is no going down into yourself and going out into darkness. Everything is connected, circular. That's the symbol of the snake. We have seen that sometimes snake eating its own tail. There is a bounded infinite. That's the interesting part. Okay? So, even science is saying that when you go farther away into space, everything it curves back and comes back to you. Space is curved. That's what science says. Okay? So that's the truth of this one. That in whichever direction you go, you will come back to the origin. Okay? So that's very interesting, and that also can be discussed for a long time with many examples. But that's not our subject now. Okay? So what he's saying basically, if you want to know the darkness of the lower parts of your being, you have to go up to understand it, not go down. If you go down, you are losing consciousness. So you have to get higher consciousness, and then from there you can descend. Okay? So, a mental scrutiny or insight can give us some indirect and constructive idea of these hidden activities. But it's only by drawing back into the subliminal, there also you can understand. When you go into your inner being, or by ascending into the superconscious, and from there looking down or extending ourselves into these obscure depths, that we can become directly and totally aware and in control of the secrets of our subconscious, physical, vital and mental nature. Okay? You can understand more when you go up, not down. This awareness, this control are of the utmost importance. For the subconscious is the inconscient in the process of becoming conscious. So even now he's talking of the involution and the evolution. Okay? The inconscient is actually never constantly inconscient. It's trying to become conscious. That's the subconscious. The inconscient trying to become conscious, the first step is subconscious. In the process of becoming conscious. It's a support and even a root of our inferior parts. Okay? It's a support. It's like a foundation of a stone, of a building. If the foundation is not there, the building will collapse. So the foundation has only one function. It supports the superstructure. Okay? So it's very important to make your foundation, the subconscious, conscious. Okay? That's very important. It sustains. This awareness, this control are the utmost important. But the subconscious is the inconscient process of becoming conscious. It's a support and even a root of our inferior parts of being and their movements. It sustains and reinforces all in us that clings, boasts and refuses to change. Our mechanical recurrences of unintelligent thought, our persistent obstinacies of feeling, sensation, impulse, propensity, our uncontrolled fixities of character. That's why they say, those who don't know yogic parlance, they say, habits are impossible to change. It's not impossible, very difficult to change, but they can be changed. How? By putting in the right thoughts into the subconscious. Persistent of the feeling, sensation, impulsion, propensity. Our uncontrolled fixities, these two, our habits of thought, habits of vital, habits even of the mind, they are uncontrolled and they are fixities of character. The animal in us, the infernal also, has its lair of retreat in the dense jungle of the subconscious. That's why it is so difficult. What do you mean by the animal in us? He means the vital. Okay? The vital in us, and infernal also, infernal even lower down. Okay? So, that is its lair. A lair is the refuge of an animal. Okay? The lair of retreat in the dense jungle of the subconscious. The subconscious is a dense jungle and all our habits and all that have got their refuge. Okay? Their safety in the jungle of subconscious. To penetrate there, to bring in light and establish a control is indispensable for the completeness of any higher life. Completeness of any higher life. It is essential in the integral yoga, not essential in other yogas, for any integral transformation of the nature. And what is meant by the integral transformation of the nature? Even the body will become a divine body. That's what is meant by the integral transformation of the nature. Right now, you can transform your mind into a mind of light. You can also transform your vital to a large extent. Okay? But you can't change your body. It will remain a biologically constructed body and it will die. This is 100% sure to die. For any integral transformation of nature. So, that body which will not be subject to disease and death is the integral transformation of the nature. Okay? So, we have gone 4 minutes past our time, but it's a very, very interesting discussion about the subconscious. It explains so many things. I hope you enjoyed the discussion, as I definitely enjoyed it. Okay? And you can read it again, and if you have any questions, we can discuss it next time. But he has given such detail, okay, the role of the subconscious in the physical, in the vital, and the mind. Okay. So we stop here today, and I wish all of you a nice day. Have a nice day, and au revoir, everybody.